Hi everyone, it's Refresh, and I'm here to take a look at Arcane Tinmen's small, non-glare board game sleeves. These are different from the regular Arcane Tinmen board game sleeves, which themselves are not quite fully glossy, but these are apparently non-glare, so I imagine that these will be matte sleeves. They are clear sleeves, and for an MSRP of $2.49, you get 50 sleeves, which is going to be about 5 cents per sleeve. The sleeves are for what is typically stated as the size for mini Euro card sleeves, which is 44 by 68 millimeters. And the sleeves are actually sold in a box as opposed to a plastic baggie, which first of all gives the sleeves perhaps the most distinctive look in terms of its packaging, as well as giving you the ability to use the box to hold sleeved cards, interestingly enough. In fact, the side of the box even comes with a little place that you can write on to note what cards you've put into the sleeves in this box. The back also comes with a frame that you can use to measure your card to see if it fits in. And as you can see, the Ticket to Ride cards fit in exactly into that frame. The back of the box also says that the sleeves are for European board games like Catan, Camel Up, and Dimension, and many more. Finally, the card box has been designed so that it safely stores 50 plus sleeved cards and can be used as a card holder during play, which means that you can flip this backwards and slide this in like this, and then you can use it to actually hold all 50 sleeve cards in the box, which is kind of neat. So this is a really cool little benefit to purchasing these sleeves, and I am quite appreciative that the packaging has not gone to waste. Now let's take a look at what we have inside. Alright, as you can see, the sleeves are smooth but matte on both sides. The sleeves are very noticeable in light, but they also have very little reflection, and so these are non-glare for sure. Now let's check the thickness. These sleeves are 8 millimeters, which makes these sleeves about 160 microns thick, or 80 microns per face, which is actually what all of Arcane Tinmen's board game sleeves are in terms of their thickness. Now let's check the dimensions. These sleeves are 46 millimeters wide by 71 millimeters tall. And now let's see how a card fits inside. Let's put that Ticket to Ride card back inside. Alright, it seems to fit pretty well. There's very little wiggle room on both sides, but it's not super snug. And there is a moderate amount of space between the opening of the sleeve and the top edge of the card. As you can see, because of that, the sleeve sort of hangs open at the top, so you can see the top edge of the card in the sleeve. That, of course, means that the opening is a point of vulnerability for your sleeved cards, but again, this happens with most sleeves that are on the shorter side, so this is not uncommon. Let's count to make sure that there are 50 sleeves here. There are exactly 50 sleeves here. Now it's time for the sleeving test. I'm going to take 45 Ticket to Ride cards and put them in 45 of these sleeves and see how long it takes. Ready, get set, go. Okay, it took 2 minutes and 19 seconds to sleeve these cards, and that is the quick speed of 3.09 seconds per sleeve. It's the fastest of the card's sleeving process, but only by a tiny fraction of a second. The sleeves pretty easily accepted a card. There was no resistance whatsoever. These sleeves opened up with relative ease, and I was quite pleased with this sleeving process altogether. Let's take a look at their uniformity and consistency. Now, the heights are all uniform. The widths exhibit some very, very slight variation. You can feel it when you're putting your hands along the sides of the sleeves. However, the variation is very, very minor. You can't really tell visually that there is some variation in the widths of the sleeves. So I do not have too many problems with this very minor deviation in the widths of the sleeves. One thing that is obvious from running your hands across the side of the sleeve is that there's a little bit of roughness here, and the roughness shows that the production of the sleeves isn't the most polished, but on the other hand, the surface of the sleeves are fairly uniform and fairly clean, and so I do not have too many misgivings about the roughness at the side of the sleeve, which may also be a product of the sleeve's matte finish. And as you can see, the matte finish does create a little dullness to the color and the art of the card, but it is not really all that distracting. If you really value the look of the art of your card, perhaps you will not like these sleeves, but I don't think that it is especially muting. Next up is the shuffle test. I'm going to shuffle these sleeved cards 100 times and see how long it takes. Ready, set, go. Okay, that took 1 minute and 46 seconds to shuffle these 100 times, and that's a respectable speed of 1.06 seconds per shuffle. It's not the fastest, but it's not that deviant from the other sleeves of this size. I actually felt like, despite the fact that perhaps the process was a little slower, and I did manage to drop some sleeves in the process, and there was a little bit of bounce once in a while, these sleeves actually shuffled incredibly smoothly. The process of putting one half of the deck into the other is actually perhaps one of the most easiest glides that I've felt in all of the sleeves that I've tested so far. And so I was quite impressed with the feel of the shuffle, even if the sleeves were not exactly the fastest shuffling of the bunch. Now that I have handled these sleeves a bit, let's take a look and see how well they've held up under handling. Alright, it looks like for the most part the sleeves are in great shape. There is no scuffing, there's no breaking of any of the corners of the sleeves. There's no visible bending in the corners of the card sleeves. There's no splitting of the sleeves, and I didn't find any additional wear that was added to the card sleeves. The matte finish doesn't show any scuffing either, as is typical of matte finish, being more resistant to wearing on the surface of the sleeve. And so I was quite impressed with the overall quality of these cards after the initial handling. Now it's time for the shake test. These sleeves do exhibit a little bit of an accordion effect. As you can see, when you press it down, they bounce back up a little and fill with air. Let's see how they handle. I'm going to shake this table for about 2 seconds and see how well the deck holds together. Ready, set, go. Alright, it does seem like the deck started sliding a bit under the shaking, but it did not fall down. So I will give it a pass. One additional thing I'd like to note is that because you have sleeved cards, and that the box that it comes with is a sleeve holder, you can even put your sleeved cards back into the box, and then you'll have a way of holding the cards in such a way that they won't fall down no matter how much shaking you give the deck. So that's a nice plus. It looks like it will hold about 50 sleeved cards in there with the extra 5 sleeves not being used. As an accessory, this is also really nice in that it lets the sleeves pass the draw test just fine. It's easy to draw the cards out of the sleeves, and again, the deck doesn't fall apart. Now I'm going to do the draw test. I'm going to draw 3 cards off the top of this deck and see how well it holds together. Ready, set, go. No problems. The deck did start shifting a little, but doesn't seem to be anything that will cause the deck to fall down, and even as it deforms a little, it seems to hold together just fine. And so I will call that a pass. Arcane Tinmen's non-glare small sleeves hold a very unique place in the pantheon of sleeves that you can choose from to sleeve your mini Euro cards. And that is for multiple reasons. First of all, these are the only matte sleeves available on the market. Arcane Tinmen's other sleeves are semi-matte in that they do not have as much gloss as other sleeves, but these sleeves are even more matte in terms of their finish, and as you can see, they do not have a strong point of glare, although obviously they do reflect light to some extent. And so if you want matte sleeves, these are pretty much your only option, and that it's nice that you even have that choice. Now, these sleeves are similar in construction to their regular sleeves, the semi-gloss one, in that these sleeves are 80 microns thick. That means that they're not as rigid as many of the other thicker sleeves, but they are nowhere near as flimsy as the soft sleeves. But they do exhibit just a little bit of wobbliness in terms of their construction. That doesn't seem to impact the overall durability of these sleeves. These sleeves seem to have held up well under handling, so I was generally impressed with their construction. It is interesting that there is just a tiny bit of unevenness in the thickness of the sleeves, but it is almost imperceptible. You can't really tell that well from looking at it, and from touching it, it seems very slight. And so I am not too concerned with the lack of uniformity in the widths of the sleeves, but those of you who do not want there to be any variability in the width of the sleeves may consider avoiding this brand. One other way that the sleeves are very unique is the packaging for the sleeves. Like Arcane Tinmen's Dragon Shield sleeves, these actually come in a box, and they will be able to suit all of the sleeved cards that you have, so you can put them all in the box. That means that it creates a means of storage for your sleeved cards in case you want to put them in the back of the game box like this, including a place to write down what the cards are on the box, and then it transforms into this kickstand that you can use to hold your sleeved cards, so that it can hold your cards into a deck, preventing the deck from collapsing due to nudging, but it also holds them in such a way that it is easy to remove the sleeved cards from the deck, or draw from the deck as it were, and that is a very nice little bonus that you get. Now, it does limit the number of sleeved cards that this will hold to probably just barely over 50 sleeved cards. As you can see, if you squish it down a little, there's room for 5 to 10 more sleeved cards in there, which will take it just to a little over 50. If that's all that there is in your deck, then it's a really nice bonus accessory that doesn't really add to the cost of the sleeves, and the sleeves are right in the middle of the range of the cost for sleeves of this size. And so this is a lot that you get, and I'm really quite impressed with what Arcane Tinmen has done in terms of providing you value for your sleeves. In terms of the quality of the sleeves, I feel they handle well, they sleeve pretty well, they seem to have pretty good durability, and even for their slightly decreased thickness. The places where people might have concern, in addition to the slight variability in the widths of the sleeves, is the fact that the sleeves are somewhere along the medium amount of distance between the opening of the sleeve and the top edge of the card. The most notable concern is that the opening actually hangs open fairly well, allowing you to see the top edge of the card, which means that it is not that difficult for items or dust or whatever to get in from the opening of the sleeve and reach the top edge of the card, which for some they will see that as a decreased amount of protection. But the sleeves are also not so short that you can't see the top edge at all. And so there is a balance that has been achieved here. The others of you will appreciate the sleeves tops are not super floppy as a result of having a very long opening of the sleeve. If you do not care whether they're glossy or they're matte, you may be sold on these sleeves because of their overall generally decent quality, their medium price price and the fact that they come with this fancy card box that has additional value and purpose. So those were Arcane Tinmen's small non-glare board game sleeves. If you thought this video was helpful, hit the like button for me. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. I have surveys in the description box below. Go ahead and click on them. If you have experience with these sleeves or any other sleeves for mini Euro size board game cards, the results of those surveys will be available at Innate Games' resource page. Aside from that, this was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.